Welcome to the Top 50 Players right now, presented by EA Sports NHL 25 with Stu Grimson. I'm Jamie Hirsch. This is the time of year we look forward to each and every year because these lists are always contentious, right? Everyone has an opinion, and this list is compiled from our producers and researchers and people here and staff at the NHL Network. And we can't wait to hear your thoughts. So chime in on social media. Let us know what you think, where we went wrong, what we got right. We can't wait for the conversation. This show is only numbers 50 through 41. So, you know, day by day, week by week, as we get closer to puck drop, we're going to count them down. But this was such a spectacular season. Offensively, what a year.
The backdrop for the 50 we're about to trot out for you, you know, this brilliant season, one of the best Art Ross races I can recall in recent past. 3 players competing for top point getter. Connor McDavid spotted the rest of the field about 20-plus points. But 9 players finished 100-plus points. It was just remarkable. Some really, really astonishing seasons.
Yes, it is. All right, with that, we're going to get right into the countdown. Number 50, we've got Jake Guentzel, formerly of the Pittsburgh Penguins, then the Carolina Hurricanes, and now signed a massive 7-year, $63 million contract with the Tampa Bay Lightning after they acquired his rights from the Hurricanes. This guy hasn't even turned 30 yet. He will do so on October 6th, right before the season begins. But what makes him so special?
I am unabashedly a Jake Guentzel fan, Jamie. I mean, he forged a reputation in this league over his first 500 games on the flank of Sidney Crosby, really earned his stripes as a bona fide sniper in this game. 2-time 40-goal scorer. He was among the most coveted ads. And I'll tell you, it's just that ability to get a shot off in stride. He's got a really quick release. It's a compact release, but he's got a great knack, a great feel for the game. And here's a testament to his hockey sense. Remember, he's a deadline ad for Carolina. He steps into that roster. Not an easy thing to do. Transition rosters, one team to another. 25 points over his 17 games. I mean, he's an impactful contributor right out of the gate.
And especially come playoff time, right? Even when he was a rookie, he was making waves in the postseason, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And now, as I mentioned, he's taken his talents to Florida. Tampa Bay snapping him up via trade and then signing him to that lengthy extension I mentioned. When you look at this lineup, yes, it looks different, right? Because there's no Steven Stamkos, very notably. But how does Guentzel help fill that void?
Well, I'll tell you what, adding him alongside of Point and Kucherov on the other side, that probably looks like one of the most dynamic threesomes in all the business. Now, there's a bit of a drop-off after that. You like your top 6? I think that's an impactful top 6. There's a bit of a drop-off in the bottom 6 for this group. But if Guentzel, Point, Kucherov can really capture some chemistry and get off to a great start, who's to say these Bolts, again, you know, a pretty robust blue line. Anytime you've got the kind of goaltending this group has in Vasilevsky, you've got a fighting chance. So that top line really needs to find it early and to be consistent and contribute throughout the year. This may be an opportunity for those Bolts, certainly to factor in the top 8, and maybe even make a little noise.
Yeah, we can't wait to see Jake Guentzel in a Bolt sweater. He cracks the list at number 50. But again, we've been doing these countdown shows all summer long, right? And we go position by position. This is everybody, and that includes the goalies.
In net, Bulldog!
His nickname is Bulldog. You gotta love it.
He's calm under pressure. He makes things look easy. He's finally getting his opportunity here. He's been in rotation the last 2 years, it feels like.
He was our best player in the series. It's not close.
Doorstep, and somehow it didn't sneak behind Swayman. He's the guy. He gets 58 to 60 games.
We're talking a year or two down the road. He could very well be in the top 3. That's how talented he is.
This is the first time that Jeremy Swayman has been ranked in our NHL Network Top 50 Players list, and he comes in at number 49. Spent the past few years splitting time in between the pipes with Linus Ullmark, but now he is the heir apparent. Ullmark shipped off, and it is Swayman's net. He also made his first All-Star appearance this year. And rightfully so. He had stellar numbers. What a tandem they made in Boston. But now again, it's his time to shine Are you surprised at all that he cracked the top 50?
Oh, not at all. I mean, his first ever appearance in our top 50, but a guy that really has forged a brilliant career to this point over, his first handful of seasons in the NHL. And again, as you mentioned, split that time, kind of shared the responsibility with Ullmark, but now Ullmark has moved on. Swayman appears to be the guy. Ullmark moves on, leaving Sway the man, if you accept that. But the number that really jumps off the page to me, career high starts at 44, but focus in on the save percentage. 916 in a league where anything north of 900, 901 is really kind of a league average. 16 basis points above that, Jamie. He really, I think, established himself as the kind of guy that earned the right to be number one where Boston's concerned. And if that doesn't get you motivated, how about these postseason numbers? Ooh. Led the postseason in goals saved above expected with 14.4, and this will warm Don Sweeney's heart as well. Through the first round, had 6 starts, posting a 9.50. Like the 916 wasn't robust enough, a 9.50 through 6 postseason starts against Toronto.
I mean, and you're right. You mentioned this goals saved above expected. A lot of factors play into this, but really it was the reason that the Boston Bruins were so successful in round 1 against Toronto. And remember, they had that tandem approach. They went back and forth between he and Ullmark, and they said they were going to keep doing that. Well, Swayman made it impossible for them to do so because he was so good.
He does. He just kind of imposes his will upon that 2 goaltender dynamic and kind of breaks through that alternating mode where the coaching staff is concerned, just in terms of their deployment. Point we're making is leaves the coaching staff with no option, and then 2, contributes to why he remains their number one, the de facto number one going forward.
You know, there's also an interesting conversation to be had about his presence possibly as a goalie on the 4 nations face-off list for Team USA. For a long time, we always thought Canada had the best goalies in the world. Now, Team USA looks really dangerous, and it's because of guys like Swayman.
Yeah, and there's an interesting dynamic to Swayman, too. Listen to Coach Jim Montgomery. Between he and Marchand, easily the 2 most competitive players in camp. That's a big part of why he's got this dynamic skill set as a backstop that he does.
All right, so the first goalie to crack our top 50 list at number 49 is Jeremy Swayman. Let's roll on with number 48, and we go to the blue line where Noah Dobson makes his first appearance ever in our NHL Network Top 50 countdown. He set career highs in both assists with 60 and points with 70 this past season. His previous career high was 51, and he's also, by the way, doing some pretty historic things for a franchise that has a history of some great defensemen. Take a look at this. He was the first Isles defenseman with at least 70 points in 40 years. Some guy named Denny Potvin.
I heard of that guy. I heard of that guy.
Was the last one to do it. So how does he continue to impact the Islanders, even kind of under the radar nightly?
Well, I think the thing about Dobson is he's just been a steady improver. The Summerside PEI native kind of steps onto NHL ice. He's contributing 20-plus points, really solid on the defensive side of the game, but he's just added to that offensive upside each year that he's been in the NHL, and then emerges here among the league's elite with a 70-point season. Difficult thing to do from the blue line. A lot of it has to do just his awareness, his mobility on that blue line, and a really, again, a compact release, gets it away in a hurry, and he's got just a real a knack for finding the daylight behind NHL goaltenders. So time on ice tells us a lot about Noah Dobson as well. But there's the season 23-24 that Dobson put together. But time on ice is something that really kind of jumps off the page to you. 24-31, just in terms of his TOI. That ranks number 1 where Isles are concerned across the entire skating lineup. And then just in terms of where that sits league-wide, 14th in TOI, league-wide. Those are Heiskanen, Josi type numbers. So this is an interesting discussion to have. Think about it in this context. If Sorokin is ailing at all this year, and remember too, this is kind of a group that has a little trouble generating anything on the offensive side. On the defensive side, if you can push more responsibility, if Dobson can take another step forward, maybe he kind of helps to protect and preserve Sorokin, who may not be at optimal this year. And two, contributing to that offense from the back end, something that these Isles sorely need.
Yes. Okay. Noah Dobson clocking in at number 48 on our countdown, which has just begun. Coming up, we've got a pair of stellar blue liners jockeying for position on our list. Jaccob Slavin and Zach Werenski have each earned a spot, but it's a close call to decide who goes higher. We'll let you know where they stand after the break.
Top 50 Players Right Now is presented by EA Sports NHL 25. Hockey is built different, and so is Chell. The all-new Ice Cube gameplay intelligence system arrives to EA Sports NHL 25, giving you time and space to control every inch of the ice. Pre-order now.
Connor Bedard's rookie season included some amazing moments. But there's still so much room for growth in his game. What will his sophomore season bring us? Stay tuned.
Unbelievable!
Here comes hockey on NHL Network.
Welcome back to the Top 50 Players Right Now, presented by EA Sports NHL 25. And this is officially a welcome back for Zach Werenski, who returns to our top 50 list for the first time since 2020 when he cracked it at 49. Right now, we're putting him at number 47 after having an incredible bounce-back year. Remember, the season prior, he missed 69 games with a torn shoulder labrum. He has had some very serious injuries throughout his career, but continues to prove that he is an unheralded star on that Columbus blue line. What do you like best about his game?
It is the Zach attack for these Blue Jackets from the back end. Brilliant year this year, as you say, bouncing back from that just horrible torn labrum in his shoulder. But 46 assists, 57 points are career highs for Zach. But I'll tell you, it's just really impressive to me. Fabulous awareness on the ice. He's a great defender, really kind of controls and helps stabilize things in his own end. But he is a master technician on the offense at the other end of the ice, Jamie. 202 shots on goals, led all Columbus skaters this year. He was 8th among NHL defenders in that respect. And here's another stat that doesn't get a whole lot of attention where folks like Werenski is concerned, but I think this speaks volumes about his game. We're always talking about defenders. He's a good first pass defenseman, right? He gets it up into the hands of the forwards. That's Zach Werenski. He's 6th league-wide in the following category. 10.6 outlet passes completed over 60 minutes. Really effective at transitioning from defense to offense, getting it up into the hands of the forwards. That's what you like to see where a guy like Werenski is concerned. He keeps tempo going south-north. Yeah, so he's a great passer, but it turns out he's also pretty good at shooting, too, and burying the puck into the net. Take a look at this board. Since he entered the league in 2016-17, he is pretty darn high on this list with 90 goals among defensemen, and that, again, is even more impressive due to the fact that he's missed so much time. Right. Compare that right column to some of the other people you're seeing on this list. I mean, Werenski, regrettably for him, pretty banged up. I mean, again, 69 games lost 2 seasons ago, but imagine putting up those kind of totals, still trailing some of the other people on that board by 100, close to 100 games. Really remarkable. Very skilled defender, great offensive instincts. Yeah, and certainly the Columbus fans are hoping that he can have an even better year this year and try to lead them back to the promised land known as the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's keep going on our countdown with number 46, and for that, we go to Carolina. Jaccob Slavin, your reigning Lady Byng Trophy winner. They ended up rewarding him with a hefty contract. Max deal, 8 years, $51.69 million. That will start at the start of next season, but he is such a key part of this Carolina defense that is known to be very stingy. Yeah. How does he kind of embody their identity? Well, You can't talk about Jaccob Slavin without talking about the defensive prowess. He is really one of the great pure defenders in the game today. But do mention, as we're talking about him, 6th time in 9 seasons total across his NHL career that he's been 30-plus points. I mean,
wow.
He really is. He's one of the most skilled defenders. To me, the standard bearer where great defenders are concerned. But this year he posts 37 points. He's a plus 21 over nearly 21 minutes time on ice. He is invaluable, Jamie, to these Carolina Hurricanes in that respect. And one other thing I love to talk about where Jaccob Slavin is concerned, and you pointed to this is his second Lady Byng here in this past season, but imagine this. This is a guy who's playing against nothing but top 6 competition. He still manages to post plus-minus numbers like this. Again, he was a plus 21 last year, but he takes 8 minutes a year, 2 minutes a year. We worked out an average across his NHL career. Nobody's even close to this. Wow. He takes a minor penalty every 8 games.
That's
you go back 3 years.
Wow.
You go back 3 years. He had just two penalty minutes. That was his first Lady Byng season. And again, he posts a plus 22 in that year, had 15 points. To play against top 6 competition, a steady diet of top 6 competition, and take just 2 penalty minutes in a single year is just astounding, but speaks to his defensive awareness and just his instincts as, again, one of the great defenders in our game today.
And then some people, I'm looking at you, JD, out there, Jason Demers, defenseman, loves to say, you know, Lady Byng winners shouldn't be defensemen. I want a defenseman that does take penalty minutes only because there's that gritty aspect. So his argument was he wants to see more grit from Slavin's game. But I like your point. Penalties put your team in a disadvantage by nature. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Not everybody has that in their game. I'll tell you, a great defender I played with, Nick Lidstrom. Didn't take a lot of penalty minutes, but a great defender. Again, great situational body awareness, body leverage, and positional awareness. Jacob Slavin's got a whole lot of Lidstrom in his game.
Ooh, well, that's a high compliment
100%.
for sure. All right, when we come back, there is no shortage of star power on the Winnipeg Jets, right? And a couple of those key cogs are about to join this year's countdown. We'll fill you in on the who and the where next.
Nightly highlights, live games, and insightful analysis. Nobody covers the game like us. This is NHL Network.
Well, if you had any doubts about these Winnipeg Jets before, you shouldn't now. A thing of beauty. Score! The Jets win in overtime.
Those Jets are flying high.
Gutsy finish for Winnipeg, but unfortunately their season will come to the end.
This series, we had no pushback. Their better players are so much better than ours, it's not even close.
The Jets signed Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck to matching 7-year extensions.
That gives you every opportunity now to be a competitor for the Stanley Cup.
The Jets will get their first win of the season.
Scheifele looks like he's rejuvenated.
Look at that brilliant pass from Mark Scheifele. Scheifele with career points, 700. Hellebuyck has been brilliant. Stopped by Hellebuyck, and he made another save.
You've got a stud D-man in Josh Morrissey.
Morrissey fires, scores! 44 looking for more.
Kyle Connor is the real deal.
What a goal by Kyle Connor.
We've known that for a while.
Kyle Connor shoots, scores!
This guy is an absolute stud and a huge part of why Winnipeg is where they are in the standings.
Connor with the move. Kyle Connor with the backhand. Yes, this is scary.
Connor went down and hasn't moved since.
I think this is real trouble in Winnipeg.
Backhander, score, Velarde.
No Connor, no problem.
That's that next man up mentality.
And Gabe Velarde just keeps rolling.
Gabe Velarde certainly helping out.
As gutsy of an effort as I've seen this year.
8 straight victories for the Winnipeg Jets. That's a franchise record.
We have some breaking news. Sean Monahan is going to Winnipeg.
A first period hat trick for Sean Monahan.
Tyler Toffoli, the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets.
Toffoli shoots and scores.
This adds to Winnipeg's magical season.
If you had any doubts about these Winnipeg Jets before, you shouldn't now.
There's never any doubt in my mind that we can make the playoffs this year. There's never any doubt. We've got a good team here.
Winnipeg is qualified for the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs.
And now we push forward.
Welcome back to the top 50 players right now, presented by EA Sports NHL 25. Let's get back into the countdown with number 45. We're headed north of the border to Winnipeg, where Kyle Connor ranked 30th on our NHL Network Top 50 list 2 years ago, then 42nd last year. Now he's slipped a few more spots to number 45. And again, these lists are so controversial, we'll say, because this guy is a star, but there are so many stars in our National Hockey League. So he sits at number 45, and take a look at this. One of just 4 players to score 25 or more goals in each of the past 7 seasons. We know him first and foremost as a sniper.
We sure do. The backbone to this Jets offense, Jamie, he's been the real mark of consistency. Imagine over 7 seasons posting 25 plus, and to just amplify all that, he's in some pretty impressive company. You've heard of some of those people, correct? Right. 176 goals since the start of the 2019-2020 season. He's 8th most in that span. For me, a big part of that is he is always driving. He's a hard-charging winger, shoots effectively in stride, great accuracy, really compact release. But I think a big part of why he's such a sniper, he catches a lot of goaltenders before they're set. If you can get a shot off, coaches will preach this day in, day out. If you can get a shot off while your feet are driving, you're not communicating anything to a goaltender, and you're getting that shot off before they're set, and perhaps you're exploiting a little daylight in behind them. Connor, really good at that.
And he's really good at being clutch, right? We talk about this clutch gene, this always kind of inescapable thing that we try to figure out how we can get that out of players. Well, he's got it. 10 game-winning goals in a single season. Mark Scheifele did it a couple of years ago, but that is so impressive, coming through when your team needs it most.
Yeah, he's one of those players. He really sets a baseline for consistency. He's a steady producer year after year. Again, the lifeblood of that Jets offense. But there are certain players, and Connor's got this, they elevate their game at moments when the team really needs them to. He's got that unique skill set, that unique set of DNA that really allow him to rise to the moment. This is a guy that he'll be that trigger man when given the opportunity.
And he sits at number 45 on our list. Let's continue the countdown, going to number 44. And we stay with Josh Morrissey right there in Winnipeg. So his teammate joining him. And this is the part of the list where it's splitting hairs, right? Between these two, they're both such key components to this Jets offense. But Josh Morrissey certainly proved himself worthy of jumping a few spots on our list. He was 49th last year and now 44th this year.
Did he ever? I mean, a solid defender, two-way defender through most of his career to this point. But really in his late 20s, Morrissey's jumped to another level. Been kind of a 20, 30-ish point producer until the past 2 seasons. And then he posts 76 points 2 years ago, 69 points last year. He's really emerged as one of the great elite D in this game today. Those 69 points we're talking about set this past year 8th most during the past among defenders during the past season. On the defensive side, here's another important nugget. One of 4 defenders, just 4 defenders with at least 140 points over the last 2 years and 200 blocks as well. See if you've heard of any of these characters. Makar, Yossi, Fox are the only 3 other players in that category. Really brilliant skill set, but imagine just taking a whole nother step forward deep into your 20s. And I'll tell you what, as many brilliant elite defenders as we have in this game, Morrissey over these last 2 years really has inserted himself into the Norris discussion. He's getting lots of attention in that respect the last couple of years.
Oh, you mean the fact that the first half of the season we were calling him Josh Norrisy?
Exactly
that was his nickname, and for good reason. I think he will be in the conversation again this year. And it's not just what he can provide in terms of kind of cycling the puck, but also the blocking shots. I mean, in that department, he's one of the elite defensemen.
He really is. Does it on both sides without question. And I'll tell you, for a Jets club that really trots out a really robust D-core, a balanced attack up front, and of course, Connor Hellebuyck between the pipes, a guy like Morrissey who can give you impressive, consistent contributions on both sides of the puck, be a shot blocker in that respect, speaks volumes about his game and adds a whole lot to this Jets roster, their ability to compete for a top 8 spot out west.
Okay, so we have a couple of Jets checking into our countdown. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's all about the Nashville Predators, right? They made quite a splash this summer by adding Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault, but let's not forget, those guys are joining a bunch of other stars, one of whom joins our list next.
Top 50 Players Right Now is presented by EA Sports NHL 25. Hockey is built different, and so is Chell. The all-new Ice Cube gameplay intelligence system arrives to EA Sports NHL 25, giving you time and space to control every inch of the ice. Pre-order now.
Welcome back to the Top 50 Players Right Now, presented by EA Sports NHL 25.
Did you see that? He scored! Yes, sir!
You better believe this team is for real.
A year of transition for a team that actually surprised a lot of people.
Really, Barry Trotz's first opportunity to put his stamp on this roster.
Right.
I don't want Nashville to come here to retire. I want you to come here to win.
They know that they've got some gumption in their lineup, and you go and you get veteran players like Ryan O'Reilly, you go and you get Luke Schenn, which I love.
A playoff berth might be out of reach for Nashville, but anything is possible.
That's a tough one to swallow. I mean, they had a 2-goal lead twice, and they gave it away both times, and it's a disappointing loss, no question.
Some games they'll look really good, some games they'll be not so good.
That top line looks solid. The Novak line's generating a lot of offense. Looks to the far side. Right in front, score! Connor was wide open. But they just can't find that right combinations on the third and fourth line.
What can you say about Ryan O'Reilly that hasn't been said? You see 90 involved in everything.
Nothing is settled yet. 8 straight wins.
And all of a sudden, right back in the playoff picture.
At a certain point, we were hearing maybe UC Saros could be available.
Right.
We're not hearing that anymore.
Saros denied!
Bringing in a couple of key pieces, Anthony Beauvillier, Jason Zucker as well.
No more distractions. Trade deadline's over. This is the team that is going to go down the final stretch. Glass for the empty net. He scored! It's hat-trick time!
These guys are awesome. It's unbelievable what they do. They're the reason we play, the reason we want to win.
When this point streak began, it's funny how it all correlates with that canceled U2 concert.
Forget U2. We're paying you all to perform. And they've been on fire. They're cooking right now.
Roman Josi, get him in the Norris conversation, get him in the Hart Trophy conversation.
16-0-2 over their last 18 games.
Franchise record.
They may have one of the hottest players as far as School of Forsberg goes.
He's taking it to a new level. His all-around game has never been better. Riley scored! And ladies and gentlemen, the Predators are going back to the postseason.
What a season it was for the Nashville Predators, bringing us to number 43 on our countdown, Filip Forsberg, unranked on this list in 2023, but then exploded with a whopping 48 goals, a new franchise record. He actually set the record on April 12th against the Chicago Blackhawks, and then ended up scoring a couple more to finish out with 48. You see the career highs highlighted in yellow here. This is a guy that's been on our radar for years. He's a star.
He really has.
But he took it to another level, and I'm actually a little surprised, Stu, that our esteemed group here at NHL Network only has him at 43. I'd probably put him a bit higher.
Perhaps we feel that group is less esteemed for his ranking after all is said and done. I mean, we're talking about a 48-goal campaign. Filip Forsberg at 48 comes within a whisker of a 50-goal campaign. But listen, soft spot in my heart for this young man. I was covering the Preds as he's cutting his teeth in the NHL. You knew he was something special. You knew he had 40-plus in him without question. It's just a really unique and interesting skill set. signature attribute is that filthy twisted wrister. He gets it off. It's got a really unusual release point. It's got a whole lot of velocity. It just fools a lot of NHL goaltenders, Jamie. But the other part about Forsberg's game is just how sturdy he's on the puck. He doesn't get enough appreciation for this attribute, but you'll hear NHL defenders refer to him as hard to play against and a handful, and that's the highest of compliments. He's got that dreaded reverse shoulder like his predecessor, another Forsberg used to, but he'll sit NHL defenders down on the seat of their pants when he's in puck protection mode. He's really a lot to contend with out there. The other aspect I'll tease out on a Forsberg, he's really, really resourceful. And what I mean by that is he does unconventional things when the play's about to die on his stick or in his proximity. He just does really interesting, different things to keep a play alive and to maintain possession, and you've got a fighting chance in the offensive zone. But Forsberg thinks and plays the game in a really unique way.
And he also just has a great mustache, right? I mean, one of the best stashes in the game if I'm voting.
Wyatt Earp comes to mind every time I see him. I'm a Tombstone fan, and he's got all kinds of Kurt Russell in him, no question.
Do you think he has 50 in him? No player has ever scored 50 in Nashville. Yes. He has the franchise record now with 48. Is 50 within reach?
I believe so. Do you want to know why? Think about the team, the roster that's starting to coalesce around this guy. And think of it in this context, too. And this is maybe more a compliment to what Nashville did last year. Last year, given the way they were built, nobody in my chairs like mine, were anticipating that Nashville had what it took to be part of the postseason. But they got a really robust, a deep contribution from a lot of different parts of the roster. Ryan O'Reilly, Novak, Luke Evangelista. They acquired a postseason berth when nobody out there thought they would. Now they've gone out. They've added the likes of a Brady Shea at the blue line, a Marchessault on the front end. Steven Stamkos comes over, which was a brilliant transaction, one of the sexiest of the offseason. My point being, 48 goals last year, and now there's a deeper, more dynamic set of forwards around Philip Forsberg, even added to the blue line. Yes. Long-winded way, I'm finally getting there. 50s within reach.
Ooh, I like it. And you're right, this roster looks absolutely stacked. Add to it the fact that there is no more question about Juuse Saros. We heard in that little reflection piece there on their season that for a long time, there was question whether Saros would be on the trading block come deadline time. He ends up staying in Nashville, signs a big extension this offseason. Now there's no more question. So it almost bodes well for this team to have that solidified and everybody happy going into this year.
Where the skaters are concerned, this group is, in my estimation, on paper, taken another step forward and added to what was a brilliant year last year. No question about it. And Saros, go back to Saros' start as an NHL goaltender. Learned this craft under countryman Pekka Rinne, has really turned into, he's taken those raw, brilliant instincts or attributes like his ability to read the play, his reaction time, his flexibility, and he's really brought them into an impressive skill set. Night in, night out. He takes down a really impressive load. He's 60-plus games a year now as the de facto #1 for Nashville. But his level of performance is really well balanced. Is really consistent across an 82-game campaign. They've got elite goaltending in Saros at the end of the day, in addition to a roster that's just improving in front of our eyes.
Yeah, not to mention we haven't even really touched on Roman Josi, who I'm sure will be somewhere on our top 50 list.
Yeah.
Don't know where. We're going to have to keep watching these
Perennial
shows
Norris contender.
to find out. Let's keep climbing on our list right now with number 42, Dylan Larkin, checking in for the Detroit Red Wings. It's actually his first time, believe it or not, joining our top 50 list. And it's because he had just a phenomenal season. He actually started on fire, a point in the first 8 games of the season. It was the longest point streak to start a season by a Red Wing since Henrik Zetterberg started the 07-08 campaign with a point in the first 17 games. But Larkin's 8 were still impressive. He ended up missing 14 games due to injury at various points. Yet somehow, as you see here, put up a career-high 33 goals. How'd he do it?
It's just a brilliant skill set. He's a great skater. He's got great offensive instincts, fabulous passer, and a really lethal shot. He's got all the elements, and he brings them together in a really well-rounded package, night in, night out. Let's focus in on the time missed. We're talking about 14 games. That's somewhere between a sixth to a fifth of the season, and still manages a career high in goals, 33 on the campaign. He's the captain for this team. He's the standard bearer for this team. Dylan Larkin, in my estimation, Jamie, as this roster, another roster, we're talking about off-season improvements. Dylan Larkin, we've not yet seen the top end for this young guy.
Wow.
Rolling out there with DeBrincat on his left flank and buttoned down to a new long-term contract, Lucas Raymond on his right flank. That's the way we'll project them starting the year. That's a pretty dynamic trio to trot out as your number one for these Detroit Red Wings.
Now, one of my bold predictions for the upcoming season, Stu, is that the Detroit Red Wings will be back in the playoffs, finally snapping that playoff drought. Do you agree with me? Am I crazy? They were so close last year.
I think it makes great sense. Remember, this group is in and around the playoff cutoff line for all of the 23-24 season. It really comes down to the last few games, finished within a single point of qualifying for the top 8 out east. I am with you. Of course I'm with you, given the odds where this roster is concerned. Go out and get a Tarasenko, adds to your top 6. And 2, I focus on Patrick Kane. Important distinction there. Remember, he's dealing with that really tricky hip surgery, resurfacing on his hip last year that not a lot of NHL players have come back from. But Kane quickly puts that behind him and puts up some really robust totals, to contribute to what was a dynamic top 6 for these Detroit Red Wings last year. So start the year on time, get a training camp under your belt, exhibition season, then right into the regular season. I think Patrick Kane probably adds more to what he did last year, in addition to some of these other ads that we're talking about. I like where these Wings are headed, no question.
All right, well, that's certainly something to smile about if you're a Detroit fan. It's been a long time since they've been in the playoffs. They're hoping to get back to it. We'll get back to our countdown right now with the final spot that we're going to unveil in this first show of our top 50 countdown. Number 41, Roope Hintz, down in Dallas. He actually ranked 36th last year on our list, so dropped just a few spots, was unranked the prior season. But speaking of consistency, this guy just keeps doing it every single year. Third straight season of at least 30 goals. And after carrying them with 24 points in the previous year's playoffs, you know, he did have a little bit of a hard time getting going, but overall, just one of the most consistent players in the NHL. That's why he sits on our list.
Yeah, a really well-rounded skill set without question. I think the signature element attribute for a Hintz is just that game-breaking speed. He's a really gifted skater, but, you know, think about it in these terms. You go back the last 3 years, he has been the pivot, the driving force behind one of the most prolific lines, 5-on-5 in the entire NHL. Hintz down the middle, Robertson, Pavelski on either side. That's been a really dynamic group for these Dallas Stars. And, you know, you think about the deployment for a Hintz. Yes, he's very capable, very dynamic just in terms of the 5-on-5. Sees a whole lot of shorthanded responsibility and flourishes there, even a top-end contributor just in terms, or participant just in terms of the shorthanded production. But Roope Hintz is, in my estimation, a critical aspect, kind of the backbone of the offense for this Dallas Stars team, who, in my estimation, Jamie, it's a really bright future. I know that's difficult to say when you look at the Edmontons, the Vegases, the Colorados
of
the West, and even perhaps Nashville, if you leave space for Nashville. But that's another roster, Dallas, that I'm really, really bullish on.
And how about this? Most shorthanded goals since the start of 2021-22. He and a handful of others top that chart at 9. What is it about his game that makes him so dangerous shorthanded?
Anticipation, game-breaking speed, the ability to finish at the other end. Just authored his 3rd straight 30-goal campaign. Last Stars to do that were teammates Ben and Sagan. If he were to do that again, a 4th 30-goal campaign, you go all the way back to Modo of my generation. Mike Modano did that, I think, towards the end of the 90s, and then nibbling into the early 2000s.
Wow, certainly impressive. And you're right.
30-goal campaigns. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun to watch.
And that's part of why he sits at number 41 on our list of the top 50 players right now. So here we go. We've filled out our list. We've shared our thoughts. A couple of defensemen on that list. We're going to check in with Mike Kelly because he's got a whole set of opinions from a statistical standpoint. Stay tuned for that as our top 50 players right now countdown continues. Welcome back to the top 50 players right now, presented by EA Sports NHL 25. It's time for a mic check with our very own Mike Kelly. Kels, you've looked at the tape, you've crunched the numbers, you're our stats guy, so let's break down some of these guys who stood out to you from our numbers 50 to 41. Let's start with the guy who just cracked the top 50, Jake Guentzel at number 50. What do you think? Too high, too low, appropriate?
Hey, look, I think Jake Guentzel probably appropriate right now, but I'm pretty convinced he's going to be higher on this list a year from now because there was no greater regression, positive regression candidate for goal scoring than Jake Guentzel. And what I mean by that is based on the chances he had, nobody should have scored more than Jake Guentzel last year. He had 30 goals. In terms of expected goals, that's goal probability. He was 4th in the league at 45, so that differential of 15 goals is more significant than any other player. Now, we know Jake Guentzel can score goals. He is a sniper. So with a full season with one team in Tampa Bay, with a lethal power play, guys like Kucherov and Hedman that's proven to be successful, and you're adding Guentzel into the mix, plus the fact that I expect to see some of that regression. He always gets good looks. He knows how to get open in tight areas and in close to the net. I think we'll be seeing Guentzel. You got him 50 right now. He may be 50 in goals for the first time in his career when this season's over. I mean, it's pretty remarkable to think that the numbers show that his chances were good enough that he should have had 15 more goals. So I guess that just points to puck luck or running into a hot goalie. This guy is a goal scorer, Stu. Yeah, think of it in this context, though. He's forged his career, his reputation as a sniper alongside Sidney Crosby. Put up some really impressive totals. But put him now in a dynamic on a 5-on-5 setup on a line with Braden Point down the middle and Kucherov. I mean, Kucherov, yes, a winger, but plays like a center. Point I'm making is Crosby got him the looks he needed to contribute to really high totals. He's got two guys that are kind of Crosby-like in that respect, who can get Guentzel lots of touches, lots of looks at really opportune moments. I'm with Kels. We may not have seen the ceiling on Mr. Guentzel. He may add to previous career highs in that respect. Yeah, and he might do a good job at trying to fill the void left by Steven Stamkos, who, of course, went north to Nashville, where he will be teammates with Philip Forsberg, who comes in at number 43 on our countdown. Again, are you surprised that he's not higher after the season he had? Yes, I am surprised. He would be top 40 for me, maybe closer to 30 even in that range. And I know we got a lot of great players, right? You want to say that like 70 guys are top 50, right. But you look at what Philip Forsberg did offensively, 48 goals. Possessing the puck in the O-zone, getting it into the O-zone with possession, creating off the rush, generating from the net front area. He's top 20 in all of these areas. Really, really dynamic offensive player. I think he's got probably the top 5 best hands in the league. You watch the plays that he can make like that, just flipping pucks upstairs, stick handling in a phone booth. This guy is so hard to read as a defender, and, you know, the numbers bear it out. So you add Marchessault, you add Stamkos, the top 6 is going to be better. It's going to free him up even a little bit more. I think he's going to get into that top 40 next season. That's our next show, by the way, top 5 best hands. And so that's what we have. Philip Forsberg. Handsy players. But he really does have some sick mitts. Oh, he does. He's filthy. He's absolutely filthy. I covered him for several years while he's breaking in, while I'm covering the Predators. And I tell you, I consider him to be one of the most resourceful players in the game. He's under pressure. A lot of plays, you know, for a forwards, you know, those plays get snuffed out. He just creates something in the moment. It's often unique. It's something, you know, you maybe haven't seen before, but he keeps plays alive just because he's got this really kind of advanced way of processing the game. Forsberg, high hockey IQ, but, you know, the puck just
he always seems to make something productive, positive out of any play, any possession.
And he also has one of the best mustaches in the game, so that's got to be worth something, right? We'll get him higher on the list maybe next year. How about Zach Werenski? He hadn't made this countdown the last 2 seasons, and injuries certainly factored in, but now he slots in at number 47 this year. What did you see from him, Kels, this past year that earned him a spot back on our top 50?
Yeah, I love that he's in the top 50 on your list. And you're right, he hit 70 games for the first time in 5 years. He's been battling injuries for a long time. So it's great to see that. And if you're in Columbus, you know what a great player he is. You know he's a top defenseman. But around the league, maybe if you're a fan of another team, you kind of forget a bit about him because of those injuries. But, you know, I look at player archetypes. I've created models for this, a 3-year weighted average model, and where I rank him among defensemen in shooting, playmaking, puck moving, defense, key areas of the game for any player. And I got him as a top 10 defenseman overall in the league. So I think where you guys have him is pretty legit. He's a guy that can impact so many different areas of the game. He does a really good job offensively of getting below the top of the circles to create opportunities. That's why he can score goals. He's got a good shot. We know that. He moves the puck well. He defends well, though. He's a pretty complete player. And I was just so happy to see him finally get back and have a healthy season. We'll see if he can build on that this year.
Yeah, we will see. And they're certainly hoping to see more from him on both sides of the puck.
Yeah, and without question, with Kels on this, complete player. We're fond of saying it's the legs that feed the wolf.
Yep.
And before you ever touch the puck, where Zach Werenski is concerned, he's got that effortless stride. You know, he's working in concert with the ice. Feet are always in motion, really agile laterally and breakaway speed. Really impressive player, but it starts with the skating where Zach is concerned.
Well, thanks so much, Mike Kelly, for your statistical analysis into our top 50 list.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of these lists, and good to be back talking hockey again.
Yes, it is. We'll see you soon. With that, let's take a look at the list so far. We have entered our top 50 countdown, but just numbers 41 to 50. And here's what we have. A lot of defensemen in this part of the list.
I mean, 4 of our 50 through 41 are defenders. Dobson, Werenski, Slavin gets there largely on the basis of his defensive merits. And I'll tell you what, my Nashville roots will show through here, Jamie, but Philip Forsberg at number 43 coming off a 48-goal campaign. I might have him a few spots higher than all that.
He's a little low for my liking, too, but it's okay. That's why we're going to hear from Preds fans on social media, and we love the dialogue. We love the conversation. Get involved on social media. Let us know your thoughts. And don't worry, we're just getting started. We've got many more of these countdown shows to come as we count down the top 50 players right now.